If you get caught up in the chaos and allow it to define you and make you feel like you are small or you are completely out of control, it will sweep you up. There are going to be so many things that will trigger you and put you into fight or flight response. It's your job to ground down, whatever that means.
Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. D. Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Relationships Podcast. I'm D. Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And we are here wrapping up the Mental Wellbeing Month, which is near and dear to my heart. We had some amazing guests, and so I can't wait to dive deep with you today, babe.
Me too.
Let's start with our review. The drum roll, please. This week's review comes to us from Makuma. Get ready to be inspired! ! I found the Ignited podcast during my early sobriety after hearing a D on another recovery-related podcast. His approach to recovery and personality really connected with me. Oh, thank you. Ignited quickly became my favorite podcast. I so appreciate both of you and your authenticity, knowledge, and inspiring guests. I've learned so much, and not only has this podcast helped me stay sober, but it's helped me spark my journey of self-love, self-care, and spirituality. I look forward to your podcast every week. I would love to hear more from you on parenting, especially parenting mindfully. Sending so much love and thank you to you both.
Love it.
Well, thank you, Makuma. And you are our winner.
Yeah.
So you're the review of the week. Send us an email at info@ignited.com or a DM through any one of the channels that you follow us on, and we will send you our amazing care package. So if you got a reading for us?
Yes. So I'm going to be reading today's out of the Book of Awakening. If you follow me on Instagram, I read from this book all the time. It has daily passages that are super inspiring and little meditations afterwards. So it's a very magical way to start your day. And today's is about nature. It says, nature's sway. When the wind stops, the trees still move, the way my heart creaks long after it bends. I am always surprised at the after effect of being moved deeply by something. I can be hurt or disappointed or feel the warmth of being loved or the gentle sway of being temporarily left. And then I'm ready to chew on something else, seldom allowing for the feelings to digest completely. In fact, I've come to see that much of my confusion in life comes from giving my attention to the next thing too soon, and then wrapping new experience in the remnants of feeling that are not finished within me. For example, the other day I felt sad because an old friend is ill. I addressed my sadness directly and thought I'd been with this mood enough, so I continued on my way. The next day, I found myself in the usual frustration of traffic and shopping and the indifferent reactions of waitressing and clerks were suddenly making me sad. Or so I thought. Though it seems obvious here in the telling, it wasn't in the happening, and I spent a good deal of misguiding energy wondering if it was time to change my lifestyle. But really, I was just feeling ripples of sadness about my friend's illness. The deeper lesson involves nature's sway, its approach, its impact, and especially its echo. Everything living encounters it, especially us in the unseeable ripples of what we think and feel. Being alive takes time.
So I think it's ironic that this month is
Wellbeing,
and we're ending it on the note that we're ending it on. I want to give let's just give like a little
let's
summary of
ground down to where we are right now energetically in our world. So in Europe and here in the States, we are in the middle of Corona season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we can call it a season. This is the first time we've seen something like this in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think of flu season. I'm hoping it's a season.
Yeah, but it's, restaurants, bars,
movie theaters
gyms. Just got closed. yesterday in California, the same in New York. The school system is shut down here for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably 4.
Which is a really amazing confluence together, right? Like kids aren't allowed to go anywhere. Adults aren't allowed to go anywhere. Social distancing, this whole new concept. And here we are talking about mental well-being, arguably in the time where it's hardest and most important to hold on to.
Yeah, and I think we talk to you guys generally as if, you're on our same wavelength with self-care and that you walk the walk also. But guess what? We all fall off. And I think we all get used to our routines. We get used to how we do things. We get used to the distractions of life being thrown at us, phone calls, meetings, just normal dramas and traumas of life. And what's most important is right in front of us right now. So our health, our safety, our well-being. These are the most important things of life.
Yeah. And, it's interesting tomorrow. So as we're recording, this is tomorrow's after this comes out. I'm doing a workshop on needs and motivations. And one of the things that I talk about, it's that glass half full, half empty concept. And one of the things I talk about is that what people miss in that conversation is the glass. One of the most important things to hold on to is the safety of your glass. And that there are 3 things in that glass that are important. That's safety, sustenance, and shelter. And right now that's being threatened because safety is not only an issue of is somebody about to shoot you with a gun or are you careening off a cliff?
No.
It has to do with, do you know what's happening? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can predict the future in some way and understand your life?
Nobody can right now. Nobody can predict the future right now. We do not know.
So everybody feels unsafe and you can feel it, right? Like when you walk around, when you look at people, even walking down our street, our small suburban street, people feel on edge, and you feel on edge because you're lacking in safety. And so I want to say that as we talk about everything we covered this month, that one of the important things is to step back a little bit to a place where you can feel safe.
I want to offer a 5-minute check-in for anyone. I just did this on my Instagram. People are feeling uneasy. We are feeling uneasy. It's easy to feel ungrounded and unsettled and unsafe right now. So I'm offering you a 5-minute check-in. It's on the highlights section of my Instagram, sophie.jaffe, if you want to go over and refer to it. And this check-in you can do any time of day. I do suggest that you do it in the morning, but just take some moments right now to grab a pen and paper or the notes section in your phone and just write this down so you can come back to it at any time. So the first thing you're going to do is just sit somewhere comfortably and take 3 deep breaths. Inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. And as you exhale, imagine yourself releasing any stress or anxiety or tension or fear out of your body. The next thing you're going to do is whatever gratitude practice feels right for you. Maybe you just list 3 things you're grateful for, put your hand on your heart, and connect to those things that you are so grateful for. The next thing is affirmations of I am. So in this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I am strong. In this moment, I am healthy. And you can go on as long for the gratitudes, for the affirmations as you want. But this is a way to ground down into something that is happening right now. The next is, what am I feeling? And this is where you want to grab your journal and write down what it is you're feeling. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful. And allowing whatever emotions and energy is going on within you to come out of you onto the paper. And then the next thing when you're done journaling that will be your intention for the day. So that's why this is really great to do in the beginning of the day. These can be intentions for your family, for your kids while you're parenting. It can be the energy that you want to bring in, the intention that you want to bring in for the people that you love that are around you in your home. So maybe you want to feel calm or at peace, and you want other people to feel peace when they're around you. So what would that look like? You can write that down, or you can just hold your hand on your heart and connect to that. And that's it. That's it to just check in. So as we start to spiral throughout the day, and spiraling is when your thoughts just keep going on a cycle, spiraling back and forth because you don't know. So then you make it up in your head and it takes you down maybe a not so fun path. So this is a way to check in, to ground, sit bones on the earth, connecting to what is, affirmations, gratitude, and what you are feeling. And then an intention for the day so that you can really take that into the next moments and not feel so wound up and spirally and frantic.
Thank you for that, Soph. I'm sure there are a lot of people that need something guided to kind of show them what to do in these times.
It's just a crazy time right now, and we're with you. And whatever your normal life is, it's not like that anymore right now, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or you work out of the home, or you have 4 kids, or you have no kids, and you're just home bored to death and feeling lost. I keep seeing all these really inspiring things about like all these scientists and, you know, when things went wrong in the world, they hunkered down and created the most incredible things. And this is a time where you can pick up that book you've been wanting to read. This is a time where you can practice self-care. You can start working out every morning. Whatever it is that you're wanting to create or do in your life, this is a great quiet time to do that and to look at it as an opportunity for growth. Yes, we're being challenged. We are, all of us, every single day, multiple times a day. It can feel fearful or scary, but these little check-ins can really help ground you. And I know from my experience with you, Adi, that anytime that we've had trouble in our relationship, check-ins have really served a purpose and allowed us to find each other again. When 5 minutes before that check-in, I felt really angry with you or frustrated or sad or lost or fearful, to ground down and have these simple practices to ground are really, really helpful. So I hope that that helps you. Let us know. And in the last month, we had the Angry Therapist, we had Gabby Bernstein, and we had from Muse, Ariel, one of the founders of that company. And they all offered such unique, amazing perspectives on well-being.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting about the guests, and it's something that we try to do all the time with our guests on any topic, but the perspectives they brought are sometimes timeless, right? Like even Muse, Ariel, was really a focus on meditation and self-awareness, just using technology, which is something that was not available 10, 15 years ago in the way that Muse has made that happen.
Right.
You know, Gabby's teachings all come back essentially to the Book of Miracles, like Marianne, which goes back to the at least 50s, 60s, and 70s in terms of the resurgence of its popularity, but also the concepts are timeless and age old. And then what I think is really great about the interview we did with John was even the name that he picked for himself, the Angry Therapist, is something that is a new concept in help, which is that your person is actually allowed to be somebody and have feelings and share what's going on with them as part of the work. Like when I got training and for decades and decades and decades in psychology and therapy, your therapist wasn't supposed to have feelings. They weren't supposed to think anything about anything.
Right.
They were supposed to be this blank canvas you would project onto. And I think what we try to do is leave that fake old way of looking at things. Your therapist always had feelings and they always had thoughts and they always had biases.
They're human.
Let's talk about it. And so Gabby puts a fresh, young, modern face on some pretty age-old concepts, you know, and so does Muse. I always used to say when we did neurofeedback at Alternatives, neurofeedback is like meditation using video games, because a lot of us have had a hard time closing our eyes and just imagining nothing.
Yep.
Well, at least there's something talking to us and some sound in our ears and things that we're aware of from modern life that have now been integrated into meditation. And you said it, we all need different types of well-being. Well-being is not the same for all of us.
No, it's definitely not a template. And that's, you know, that goes back, well-being, self-care, all of those things are ways of bringing yourself back to a state of joy, happiness, comfortability. You want to feel comfortable in your skin, in your body. What are the things that make you feel well? That is mind, body, soul, spirit. It's the same thing. Now all of a sudden in the last couple of years, self-care is a wonderful thing. Self-love is a beautiful thing. We've talked about this before. 20 years ago, it was selfish to do those types of things. Now it's imperative. And we know that. We know it's important to fill our own cups first in order to better give to our world, especially as healers, practitioners, and people that work with people or are empaths. And there isn't one size fits all. There is not a template, but what we can do is continuously share what works for us and also be open to what worked for me last week might not work today. And having that awareness of self to say, here's what I'm needing right now. This part of myself feels really good and filled up, but I'm really needing some stimulation mentally. So I'm going to go read and I'm going to go take some time for myself. Or I'm really needing some alone time right now. Like you were kind of spiraling. You weren't feeling well last week and you hit your edge for a lot of different reasons, mostly that you weren't feeling well and you don't like when you don't feel well because then you're not running at 100%. And so, you kind of like lashed out and got upset, but then you took yourself away from the equation. You went out early, woke up at 6, went out to a coffee shop and you took that time for yourself. That is self-care. To sit by yourself at a coffee shop, say, I'm not coming home for a few hours. Luckily, you have the luxury of doing that. Not everyone does. And I handled the house. I was like, good, take as long as you need. Why? Because I know that's part of your self-care. And you wouldn't do it unless you were doing it for that reason. And when your cup's full, you can be a better dad and a better husband and a better friend and a better worker. So all of this, well-being, self-care, it's all to rebalance so that you can feel full enough to give to your community and to yourself and to your loved ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a couple of decades ago, the way people took care of self was really different.
Yeah, it was more mechanical, I think.
Like even if you look at workout classes, right? The popular workout classes, this is like 90s even, so a little longer than 20 years ago, but like those aerobics classes and all that kind of
80s.
stuff was very...
Jane Fonda.
Was very showy. It was very external.
Yep.
And so I think the big shift has been on recognizing the internal work that has to be done, because people have been working out for decades, but it was more on like, what does it look like?
Yeah.
And what muscles am I building and that kind of thing, which is still, vanity is still really relevant, but there's definitely been a turn to the internal.
I don't even want to think of it as vanity necessarily. Physical health is very important. The external vessel in which carries your internal is important. It's important.
I mean vanity in the sense of
your physical.
Primarily working out to look a certain way.
Right.
That's what I mean. But
I love that the focus of this past month for well-being was on mental well-being. We had the angry therapist, and John is, that's all cerebral talk therapy, psychological. And then we
talked about relationships and that
relationships. Yeah.
What it means to be a man.
Mm-hmm. We underestimate the importance of internal.
We don't give enough credit to the importance of feeling well mentally, because I think most of the time we assume we're supposed to be able to will that into being the way that it is. And again, right now with coronavirus is a good example of how that's just not true.
Right.
Things can happen externally outside of you that affect your life in incredibly substantial ways. Mental well-being, maybe like, if you look in the world, like physical well-being, is almost more about that flexibility, the ability to react and adapt as things happen around you and not have them break you because you're so rigid that they have to be a certain way.
Right.
And I think that might be the anxiety that a lot of people are feeling right now around Corona is we're so used to going about our life the way that is. I think that's probably actually why for you and I, it's affected us less than a lot of other people. I work from home.
Right.
Being isolated doesn't affect me the way it affects a lot of people.
Yeah, you could not see a human being for quite some time and be fine with it.
I mean, Maddie didn't come in today, but like we still had our meeting. Yeah. I still saw her in video chat.
Well, bless virtual everything because most of our lives are virtual now.
Yeah.
Our
And so
work lives.
I want to honor the disruption that has happened for the millions and millions of people who from last Wednesday or Tuesday or even before that, I was sick last week. So I didn't really,
few weeks. Yeah.
I didn't really participate in life last week, to be perfectly honest. But for those of you who got completely derailed, life just got completely derailed. You know, I'd mentioned on Instagram, I have a lot of friends and people that I know who are in the entertainment industry. And I don't mean like TV and film. I mean like shows, like speaking gigs or music tours or DJing and things like that. Their life is on pause. So they are used to living on the road. There is no road right now.
Right.
Let alone months and months of work getting canceled. Some of you, this is Monday while we're recording this, you're hearing in a couple of days, but you're used to reporting to an office. You're used to saying goodbye to your kids and your family, or not your kids, getting in a car and driving somewhere and going to work.
Going to the gym.
Doing the stuff. All that has been canceled on you. And the reason I'm going through this in so much detail is understand these are real disruptions. You're allowed to feel uncomfortable. Think of like a flexible branch of a tree. The wind comes and it pushes it. And as it pushes it, it bends it. And if the branch is dry and it isn't flexible, then it's going to break. Why is it going to break? Because it can't adjust. It can't go in the direction the wind is pushing it because it's too rigid. That internal awareness that we keep talking about, and if, you know, there aren't a huge number of commonalities that I find between the people that we talk to and are successful, but finding some practice to have internal awareness is definitely one of them. And I think this is the reason why. You have to be able to adjust. And if you don't know where you are right now, adjusting is difficult because you're always flying blind. And as the world throws these things at you, you have to be able to say, oh, here's what I need right now. What within the context of what's available can I get? Like, so you're social distancing right now, so you're not hanging out with people. That's fine. Jump on a FaceTime call with 2 or 3 friends. Go on Skype. Go on Zoom. Reconnect. Still connect to the people within you. And as Sophie said, catch up on self-growth stuff you want to do for a while. There aren't a lot of opportunities in life where every meeting you've had this week is canceled. Don't use those 5, 15, 80 hours only to sit around and worry about the fate of the world. You can spend some time on that. That's fine. But also spend some time on self-growth and the things you need to do to feed yourself.
And just knowing that this worry and this chaos will pass. It will.
Yep.
It's going to pass. This too shall pass. And just knowing that I am not the chaos. I am not the worry. It can exist. You can acknowledge it and then let it pass through, just like when you're breathing. Because if you get caught up in the chaos and allow it to define you and make you feel like you are small or you are completely out of control, it will sweep you up.
Yeah.
There are going to be so many things that will trigger you and put you into fight or flight response. It's your job to ground down, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I'm eating more grounding foods. I'm eating more each day because I'm the type of person that will just fly away if I get too caught up in what's going on externally. So I want to ground, to be connected to my body right here and now so that I can feel who I am as a guide to my children, as a partner, as a friend, as a leader in this movement, as someone who wants to provide love and safety. I must be grounded. That is so important. So what can you do to tap into that, to not spiral, to not get into that fight or flight response, to not worry, to not stress? What can you do? And we will get triggered by small things. What can you do to bring yourself back?
Yeah. Yeah. I am definitely one of those people that relies on structure in my life. And so I'm trying to keep as much of the structure that's available possible, but it's hard, y'all. It's tough. I mean, kids are waking up earlier. They're not going to school. It gets canceled. The other thing gets filled in.
And it's raining.
Yeah, we're in LA and it's really interesting. It's actually been raining almost all week. So we're trapped indoors. The point is to bend. The point is to be flexible in whatever ways you can.
And to also embrace the change, to embrace the inevitable, and that there will be a rainbow on the other side, that there will be a breakthrough. And to embrace it and notice what comes up for you. Be kind to yourself and be kind to people around you.
Yeah.
And this too shall pass.
Yeah. We will stay on. I don't know if by the time this comes out, this will be incredibly relevant, but I'm going to say this anyway. So at Ignited, we offered 2 weeks free of our weekly chats, really because we're expecting this to last about 2 weeks. So we'll probably extend it if this lasts longer. And I'm committing to another weekly group while this is all going on. So there are going to be 4 groups a week of support, video chat support. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can do this from home and you can talk about anything that's going on for you. So that's one thing. By the time this comes out, this workshop will be done. But I'll do a special with our needs, human needs and motivation workshop as well, to give you guys access for essentially nothing. Just to make it so that you have resources to count on and ways to connect. And as Sophie said, ground down. If you watch the news, it's like the apocalypse is coming. If you watch the news, you can be scared. And our kids' teacher told us, just be careful about what you say around the kids, which is another important topic. You just mentioned wanting to talk about parenting. Imagine our anxiety parlayed onto a child that has no control even of their environment. They don't get to choose where they go. They don't get to choose what they do. And to tell them that if people congregate in large groups right now, thousands or millions of people will die, can be incredibly anxiety provoking. And so I know for me, making sure that my kids feel safe is another one of those things that's really front and center right now. And so we're playing and we're hanging out. We went for a hike yesterday, and so it was pretty isolated, but at least they got to get out of the house.
Absolutely. Fresh air and nature heals everything. And if you think about it, nature has its cycles. Look at the phases of the moon. Everything has its cycles. So just embrace this. Embrace this time to the best of your ability. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel bored. It's okay to feel scared. And then allow it to pass so that you can actually embrace this time and not be in fear this entire time. I got up in the middle of the night because Noah was awake. It takes me a long time to get to sleep now. Normally it doesn't. So I'm aware that I am more anxious. But I'm taking the extra time and love and practices to not let myself get lost in it, because I know that this will pass. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. At some point, this will be over. My kids will be back in school and I'll be back into my routines. So what can I do every single day to make the most of this and to give them my fullest, best, most calm, centered self? Because that's what they deserve. And that's what I deserve.
Yeah.
We'd also love to hear what your favorite moments are as you're listening. A lot of people are screenshotting and sending us their favorite episodes and what they're listening to now. While you're organizing your kitchen, while you're doing the dishes, while you're cleaning, or maybe going through your closet, have our podcast going. You can put your earbuds in if you have kids around, or let it be on speakerphone. I love listening to podcasts while I'm cleaning. It feels so good. Also going for a walk, of course, if you're able to go for a walk, or if you have a treadmill at home, if you're doing a workout. But while I'm cleaning, I love to listen to a podcast. It really helps me. And a lot of people say that they listen to our podcast while they're in the bath, practicing self-care. So just know we're with you. We're encouraging you to be your best self, and let us know what we can do for you from our end.
Yeah. And in this time, as Sophie gave her check-in, and meditation and mindfulness is an important practice. If it's something you already have in your life to help bring anxiety down, if Muse is in your budget, and we had a link last week, we'll give it again this week. Talk about the right time to figure out tools to implement improved meditation and mindfulness practices. And Muse is great for that. So remember, the reason we ask the 5 questions at the end of each one of our interviews is partially curiosity, because we want to hear from other people. But the other thing is we want you all to have practical, real tools from other people who you obviously consider successful, or role models, or people to look up to in your own life. We want you to understand how they get there, because it's practices that get them there. They don't just magically become that. And so go back to some of the episodes and listen to some of the self-care practices. And this is the time to start employing them. Some of them talk about baths, and other people talk about mindfulness and meditation. Some talk about running or exercise or reading. This is a time where you need to tend to yourself. And so, I said it's ironic. Maybe it's actually the most appropriate time to be wrapping up a month on mental well-being, because you're being tested right now. You're being stretched to the max.
It's all we have is our mental well-being. It's all we have right now. It's up to you to take control of yourself.
Yeah. And so we're really, really happy that you just got a month of tips from our people and from us. Sophie talked about a check-in. I do one every day. I put my link up before, but I do a 5-minute journal every day. If I don't get to do one, my days are worse. Why? Because it grounds me. It gives a start to my day that is focused on the positive and my positive intentions and my needs from that day, rather than my fears and my anxieties, which are one of the things that will pop into my head naturally. Find these things for yourself. Go all in on them right now. This is the time to take self-care to a level you've never taken it to before. And we will see you on the other side of this, because there is another side.
Yes.
And we love you all so much. Can't wait to reconnect with you next week.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.